With Miller Mott College's online programs, you can choose when you study. Our online programs give you the flexibility to make education work with your schedule. Earn your degree without derailing your life. Visit us online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-mott.edu.
Welcome to Bite Size Bios. This is meant to be a mini-sode that will accompany HDTH. Every week, I will pick a person from history and dive into their lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size Bios, BSB. I believe it is episode 18. And this week we are talking about Gandhi. We're going to learn a lot about Gandhi. We're going to learn a lot. But before we get there, before we get to old Mahatma Gandhi, we'll find out what that means. But before we get there, we got to talk about last week's episode, Names and Things. Still loving that title. Thought it was a pretty good episode. Learns a lot about names. I mean, I think the most interesting thing to me that I learned was definitely the Peggy and Margaret thing, maybe. What else was there? I think that part, the fact that just like back in the 1300s, they thought it was cool to just be like, switch the letter. That's a nickname. I thought that was interesting. It made me think about other names that we kind of missed. And then I was going to do this thing. I looked up because I was like, oh, Average Joe, right? Joe Smo. I looked in, so they're all kind of classified together, or at least what I saw on Wikipedia. And I started to read it, and it just got me really sad because they really actually just started to list all the different ways that Americans are average in like a really long form way. And you can definitely look it up. It's out there if you just Google Average Joe and read the Wikipedia. If you just need to just feel mediocre, I was just like, whoa, like they were just, I don't know. I was like, this is not what I signed up for, but that was it. I don't, let me click back and see because I'm sitting here looking at the notes for all of the episodes. So let me go back and see if there's anything else I wanted to address before. While I'm talking, I don't usually do what I'm watching here, but I am watching The Last of Us. It is good. I'm probably more informed than anybody because I've watched every episode 4 times. Why do you ask that? Because sometimes I am a little too inebriated to actually remember what happened the previous watching, so I have to go back and watch it again. So I've now seen every episode 4 times, and I know what's happening. But we will get to. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? The Joneses, Keeping Up with the Joneses was pretty interesting. There's an actual house that should be a museum. It's pretty much, I think it's defunct now. It's one of those abandoned mansions. But it's the house that basically created the term Keeping Up with the Joneses, and also created a real estate housing boom at the turn of the century, I believe, as well. It has a lot of history at that house. And I'll mention the song playing at the beginning of last week's episode. It was this play that I found on YouTube that I believe it was actually either it was a part of Shakespeare or it was a play about it. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not sure which one it was. I heard the song and I was like, that's funny. That has something to do with what we're talking about. So if anybody was wondering what that was, it was a play. I wish I had the name of it, but I don't actually remember what it was. I don't even think there's anything really else to mention. Let's see. Stuff I wanted to get out. The episodes are getting longer. I am working on, like I said, bringing some guests onto how did that happen. I'm trying to maybe change a little bit of the structure, a little bit of the format to allow for that. You probably have noticed that there are ads now, and that's just something I'm trying out. I for a long time didn't feel that this podcast was a product that was worth putting ads on, but I feel that way now, and we're just kind of see. And if it doesn't work out, if it's not organic, or if it doesn't feel right to me, then I'll take them off. But for right now, we're just kind of seeing what happens. So that's a difference that you've noticed in the new year. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna learn about Gandhi. As always, like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Give us 5 stars if you want to. Give us 2 stars and tell us why you didn't want to give us 5 stars. I would like that as well. I would love to read those. Thanks for pressing play. I saw we just got rated top 50 or number 52 history podcast on Good Pods. I posted on the Twitter page. It's always great. Thank you guys for pressing play and hanging out and coming in every week and finding out how things happen, and for these little bite-sized bios as well. So let's just, without further ado, as we're known to do, let's get to the episode. All right. Today we're going to talk about Gandhi. He goes by a few different names throughout his life. When he's born Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, right? And that was on the 2nd of October in 1869. He is a Hindu man born into a Hindu family. He was born on the coastal town of Kathiawar. It's all in India, of course. And of course, this was during the British control of India. His father was pretty high up in the society. He was kind of like the village chief. It's more than that. I mean, basically, the chief minister. I think they called him a diwan. And he would continue to kind of grow within that as, for his career. And that's also kind of what made Gandhi want to go in kind of the same route. Let's see here. We have his mother. What is his mother's name? Did I get his mother's name? Let's see. Let me get his mother's. Oh, here it is. Putlabai. I know that's not it, sweetie. But I'm trying. So that's his mom's name. His dad's name is Karamchand, because that's why I think that was also why his middle name was that. But yeah, so that's the name of mom and dad. It's his childhood. I don't really have that much information on it. Besides his real childhood, because he was actually ended up being married at the age of 13, and so at that point, I think you kind of become a man a little bit. So as young years don't have much, but in May of 1883, he and this 14-year-old girl named Kasturbai Kapadia, that's a pretty cool name. They got married, 13 and 14 years old, in an arranged marriage, and they're so young. They even mention he mentions when recalling his wedding, he's like, as we didn't know much about marriage. For us, it meant only wearing new clothes, eating sweets, and playing with relatives. So it's like they're kids. They're still kids, and they're getting married. So they don't have any real concept of what marriage is. And I could see that. You don't really, even if someone were to tell you, oh, you're getting married. If you're at 13, you don't really know what the weight of that is. So you can't really. I don't know. It's a lot. But yeah. So he did this at the age of 13. They would end up having 4 children, and. Yeah, we'll definitely get into more about his wife later a little bit. There's an interesting fact that I didn't know much about Gandhi, of course, which is why I do this. And I've heard different things. I've seen little bits and parts of movies, but this guy was just a horse of a different color. He was just a different kind of guy. So we'll jump from his marriage to his first child. Let's see. The first surviving son was named Harilal, and that guy would go through it. I do believe, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do believe they say he died an alcoholic and hating his father. I don't want to just put it out, but yeah, let's see. Gandhi would go on to study in London to obtain his legal degree to become a lawyer, and that's really, really what he did. That was his profession before he got into this whole kind of civil rights, being a man of the people. He was a lawyer for quite a while, for probably about 20 years. He goes to London around the age of, I think, 20 years old, and gets his degree, lives there for a while. I think they say he was in something called the League of Vegetarian Society, something like that. It was really interesting. Not interesting. I thought it was funny. I don't that you need an entire group of people just to get together and just choose to not eat meat. I don't know, but he would get his degree in 1891, and then he would come back to India. When he got back to India, he realized that his mom had been dead for a little bit, and nobody told him. They kept the news from him. That's some of the worst news to come back to. He tried to establish a law practice in India for a little while, but he just was not, surprisingly enough, for a man who would go on to kind of be the voice of a nation. He had trouble doing the cross-examinations. He had trouble talking to people in court, so he wasn't a very good lawyer, so he couldn't really get a practice going. And so what actually ended up happening is that he ended up, someone asked him to come to South Africa to represent them. I don't know, I guess they hadn't heard about his lack of skills in the courtroom, but, they asked him to come out there to help them. Yeah, they asked him. It was actually, it was his distant cousin who was in Johannesburg, and he needed a lawyer, and he preferred somebody that was actually from where he was from. So he went out there. He actually went out there for only a year, but he ended up staying for almost 20 years. But the trip there was really what set him on this path of, I guess, righteousness, of just trying to be the Gandhi that we know him to be. And so basically, he was an attorney. He had a little bit of money. He was basically a white collar first class citizen at this point, and he set sail to go to South Africa. But once he gets there, he starts to just immediately face the discrimination that you face by being a brown person in that time of the world, especially when these nations are still trying to establish themselves. Because I've been doing a lot of research about South Africa for an upcoming episode, and you just find him, and there's a lot to unpack there. But so to get back to it, he basically just immediately felt brown once he got to South Africa, and there's like the story of like him being on a train, and he basically got kicked off the train during that time because he had a first class ticket, and a white guy comes on the train and is just like, I don't want this Indian guy to sit in the same train car as me, even though he has a first class ticket, and he like refuses to get up, so they kick him out. Right? They kick him off the train, and so this is his first real experience with any kind of like discrimination, I would say, based off the color of his skin. Not his first. I mean, you get it. I would say he probably got it in London, but not to the degree of which he's feeling it now. And so this kind of changes his outlook on the whole thing. And like I said, while he's in South Africa, he really experiences just a large, change in the way of living, even with things like the Indians weren't allowed to walk on like sidewalks in South Africa. He even ended up being kicked by a cop because he was just walking on the sidewalk. And so this really just jars his mind, and he spends time there for a long time. He's, like I said, 20 years. He does end up coming back. He comes back to India. He comes back to India around 1915. And so, like I said, he goes to basically South Africa around the late 1890s and comes back to India in 1915. And then it is at this point that he's actually given the term that we know, because I always thought, if you just know, I thought his first name was Mahatma. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. It's first name. We said his first name was Mohandas or something like that. Yeah, like, but Mahatma, is it Mahatma G or Mahatma J or just Mahatma? I don't know, because what I got here is Mahatma G, and that doesn't jibe. But I guess it is. But it means great soul. So that's actually what it means. Like I said, before this, I just assumed that was that man's first name. It is not. But he was given that because he knew people could already kind of see that he was a great influence. He knew how to reach the masses and was really out. He insisted on spiritual growth. He was really out here trying to speak to positivity into the world. And one of his main goals for his people were to be independent, were to be free of British rule. That was I would say the hill that he died on, and like basically he did die on that, but at least it happened. We'll find that out. We are moving through his timeline right now. What we'll see here, because we will find out this man is a complex individual and had different feelings at different times. He even would end up, how can I put this? He would end up recruiting for the British Empire during World War I, which is just so backwards if you think about it, to be recruiting for the war of your oppressor to go fight people that they kind of want to, not that they want to oppress, but I guess that, I don't know, it's the people you don't like are asking you to fight for them, and why would you do that? So in 1920, Gandhi takes over leadership in the Congress in India, and he tries to declare independence from Britain in the 30s. Britain's just like, nah, we're not hearing that. Like, they just don't recognize the declaration. They're like hand to the face or talk to the hand. They would try again, actually, in 1942. Was it 1942? Because this was actually what happened before that. Was basically Germany. Well, what happened before that is the beginning of World War II, and when Britain declares war on Germany, and so like when that happened, Gandhi was like, "Hey, we're pulling back our support for this. We don't like this. And the only way that we'll actually fight for you and actually like do something is if you guarantee our independence." And for that, they were like, "Nah, bro, we're gonna lock you up." And actually, instead of that, so like, yeah, he ended up getting locked up again. He would get locked up a lot. I think said he got locked up like 7 times overall in his lifespan for a length of like 4 years. Which, when you look at it, we've covered Nelson Mandela. We're not like measuring prison sentences, but my man was in jail for like 25 years. You find that Gandhi's a lot of stuff is just it's the peaceful protest. So it's not like I'm not saying it's not like, I don't know, like, especially because I find out, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, his hunger strikes. Like I literally thought this dude wasn't like eating. He was eating. 1 day a week, but it's like you're choosing to do that. So it's a 6-day fast. I don't know. Like it's not as dramatic once you really read the details, I guess. But we'll move on from that. Like I said, he gets locked up because he doesn't want Indian people to participate in World War II on the British side. Let's see, and that's almost towards the end of his life. So what I actually want to do is go back and tell you a couple things that he did to kind of make him Gandhi. There's really there's one thing that I'll mention, like we'll mention the hunger strikes as well, but I want to mention this, what's called the Salt March. This is one of the things that I think also kind of helps to propel him into sort of like the national sphere of like really caring about Indians and Indian independence. So the Salt March happened in March or April, depending on it says March to April 1930, so we'll go with that. And it was an act of civil disobedience led by Gandhi to protest British rule in India. But really specifically, it was protesting they basically, because of the Indian diet, salt is a large part. Salt's a large part of most human diets. But what the British had done is say, you can't make your own salt. We won't allow you because we own you, basically. You can't make your own salt. What you have to do is buy your salt from us, and we're going to tax the crap out of it. That's what they said. So basically, you go from being able to go make your own salt. And I'll be honest right here. Hands are all the way up in the air. You can't see it. It's audio medium. But when they said salt, because they did the march, they're marching to get the salt, right? And I'm just giving you the insides of my brain. They're marching to get the salt. And when I'm reading it, I'm like, where are they marching to? You know, is there a salt field? You know, is there a salt mine? I don't know. And then you realize I don't know where salt comes from. And so that, that may be another episode we have to do. But I find out that they're making it from the ocean. They're making it from the sea, which just light bulb thing just makes sense. It just never really thought about it, But that's what they're doing. So they've been stopped from doing this. So now the Salt March is them walking to the Arabian Sea, which is like 240 miles from, I guess, where they were, and to try to make some salt. And when they get there, he grabs some salt, salt water, start doing it, gets arrested. And like 60,000 people also get arrested just for making salt. It is really, but this is one of the things that make Gandhi Gandhi. When you want to know about him, there's a lot of things you can say, and we'll definitely mention some things here in a little bit, but he did a lot of, if he wasn't going to do it, who was going to do it? I don't know. And what we'll find, which I didn't even know, we talk about Indian independence. And I don't want no smoke, please don't at me, but it almost seems from when you read, it's like there was almost a foregone conclusion, because the Allied powers, the Allied European powers, Britain especially, were basically just like taxed. They didn't have any money after World War II. They didn't have enough money to keep a lot of their colonies going. So it was like, fine, you want independence? Here, you can have it. You know what I mean? Fine, like, we don't want you anymore. Not quite like that, but like, we can't even afford this anyway. So like, take it, kind of thing, But that'll bring us to the hunger strike, and then there's not much more. We're gonna talk about some deaths and some little interesting facts about Gandhi, and we'll just wrap this up and get out of here. Trying to keep it as bite-sized as possible. I will say that I want to keep the mini episodes somewhat, going with the length of the HDTHs, because like I'm thinking maybe half. I wish you for kind of maybe half of the time that I spent on the previous week's episode. And once we get to kind of an average, the HDTHs are getting a little longer these days, so we can go a little more long form. But back to it. So his hunger strikes, like I said, he ended up doing, I think, something like 18 hunger strikes is what they say over time. There's actually a Wikipedia page that lists them and why he did them. It was a big part of his thing. He did it for who did he do it for? He did it for when they made the rules against the untouchables and started to kind of prosecute them differently. Let's see, what else did he do? I mean, I don't know. When I looked it up, I wanted to know, did it really? I want to know why, or not. I guess not why, because when you look up a lot of pictures, you see him like all emaciated and stuff, and I'm like, so that was his thing. Like, I just don't eat. Like that's what we're here for. Like, I don't know. Like, and it's not. You read enough about it, but that's what you would think when you look at the pictures. But see, what's crazy is when we're about to get to his death and stuff like that, he had just come off a fast like 2 weeks before he got killed. And I thought about that. I'm just like, dang, dude, you just got back to eating regular, like, solid food, and then you get murdered. Like, life, bro, life. And so an interesting thing about him, his wife's death, and just him, because then we're going to kind of switch it just for the last couple minutes here about the Gandhi, the full spectrum Gandhi. We're going full spectrum Gandhi here, all right? So he had some different beliefs that don't quite jive with the quite, super duper positive Gandhi figure that we all kind of know and love. But this is, and you can just make your own opinion on this, but his wife was dying of pneumonia, and the doctors told him, like, if we give her a shot of penicillin, because we got penicillin now. We talked about like Houdini died before penicillin was even around, like a couple months before it was even created. he would have lived because he had appendicitis. He just died of an internal infection. We're back to Gandhi's wife. So she had pneumonia, and they told him, like, yeah, you just shoot her with some penicillin, she'll be fine. And he pulls this whole thing of like, I don't want her to have Western medicine, this alien, foreign thing you're trying to put in her body. I don't want to do that. Da, 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 da. She dies. His wife dies of a curable situation. Not too long after that, our buddy Gandhi gets malaria, right? But get this, all of a sudden, he don't mind Western medicine. All of a sudden, he's letting British doctors perform an appendectomy on him at some point in his life. Like he basically, like, when he lets him save them with quinine when he had the malaria, but like he just shifted his, like, you could have saved your wife, but he didn't like his wife, truthfully. Like he loved her as a kid, I think, from what I've read, but once they got older, he wasn't feeling her. And like, I guess so when you get the chance, he was like, oh, she got pneumonia? Oh, no, don't do that. Like, she'll be fine. Like, and she's not fine. And the last thing that we'll cover before his death is that he was into what he called celibacy experiments, because he was really into celibacy. And so he would kind of trying to test his chastity, and the people around him was a big thing to, like, I don't know, it's almost like edging. I don't want to get, but like, I don't know the best way to describe it, because it's not that, but it's like, I don't know, I'll quote himself, because he talks about, like, basically he would ask people to sleep in his bed naked, and then he would, like pretty women. Also, some women he was related to. Some of his grandnieces were, like, in the bed naked with him. And it's his job to, like, not want to have sex with him. So, like, that's his burden to bear. And he even admits, he's like, sometimes I couldn't bear the burden. That's why the quote here he says, Abba slept with me for hardly 3 nights. Kanchan slept 1 night only. Venus sleeping with me might be what you call an accident. Pause. All that can be said is that she slept close to me. So he's like, yeah, she probably should have stayed. She probably should have kept her clothes on, because you can't trust yourself around Venus. Like, she got that devil blood, I guess. But that was his thing, like, celibacy experiments. Like, which is just another way of just being an old creep. Like, it initially started with him taking walks with these girls and just putting his arm around them and being like, oh, I'm trying to resist the temptation. It's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not judging, but I'm judging. Like, you did a lot of great things, but you gotta cover all sides. And so I just wanted to get that out there, because for a long time I did some research on it and wasn't sure if that was true or not, or was it what it was, and it is what it was. But his death. So we get to his death. He was assassinated. He was shot on January the 30th, 1948. Literally only 6 months, I believe, after India gains its independence. So, I mean, he got, like I said, that's why I said the hill that he died on. It's that he was like, that's what my calling in life is. I want that to happen. He willed it to happen. Then your life is over, I guess. So he was at a mansion called the Birla House, I believe they say, and he was walking into basically like what is it? Gandhi had reached the top of the steps to the raised lawn behind the Birla House sometime after 5 p.m. And he had been conducting in that area he had been conducting multi-faith prayer meetings, which actually sound pretty cool. And as he began to, like, kind of leave, this dude, Godsi, I think is his name, probably not pronounced, just jumped out, shot him 3 times point blank in the chest and abdomen, and then he basically died. Not too long after that, they captured them, the guys that did it. This guy Godsi, and I thought this was like some real, like, medieval, like, or just like he had been trying to kill this dude for like 5 years. Like, I don't. It's not funny. But it's something from a movie. It's like, he first tried to kill Gandhi in 1944, I believe it was. So for 4 years he's been trying to kill this dude. How do you hate a dude enough to spend 4 years trying to murder him? But that's what happened. So yeah, that's the guy. He ends up getting killed. The two main guys get hung. There's actually a video on YouTube, part of a biography that interviews the other guys that were involved in planning the assassination. And the dude, this video is from like only a couple years ago. This old Indian dude is just like, I don't repent. Like, I'm glad I did what I did. Like, dude is happy about conspiring in the murder of Gandhi, bro. Like, that is like elephant level kahunas. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so the dudes that actually shot him, they ended up getting hung. He dies. His wife, like I said, died of a pneumonia when she could have lived. And I got one more thing for you, then we'll go ahead and get out of here. I just found when I'm doing my research, because we don't do things I don't know before here, but I saw this, and this is definitely where that would go. Gandhi's great-great-grandson at one point was a state congressman in Kansas. Like, he was a member of the Republican Party. You wonder with the lineage, like he's only been dead for like 70 years. So like his heirs and people, like it's just, you never know. Like, is Gandhi your is Gandhi's family your congressman? Check. I don't know. For these people in Kansas, in Topeka, they were. All right, that was Gandhi. We learned a lot about Gandhi and his celibacy experiments, and even how he got his name. I don't know. You draw your own opinion. You draw your own opinion on that. I've judged him. You feel free to do whatever you need to do. After this. But as always, if you like what you heard here, there's always more at hdthappen.com. Over there, you will find episode transcripts, photos, and videos, as well as a works cited that shows you where I get all this information, the videos that I pull the stuff from. Let's see. If you want to rate us, that'd be great. If you want to like this podcast wherever you find this podcast, that would be awesome. It really helps the pod grow. We could definitely use some more ratings out there to kind of get us boosted up. If you want to give us 5 stars, then that's awesome. But if you want to give us 2 stars, tell us why you didn't want to give us 5 stars. Love that as well. All constructive criticism is always welcome. I don't think there's much else to say. This has not been the most bite-teous sized of bios, but we're trying to just have fun over here and just do something that is worth listening to. So I always appreciate you guys pressing play, and we'll see you in a couple days with the next HDTH.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.